Welcome to another That Thermal Guy video. So I'm running a little different format today. Myself and an assistant, back and forth discussion on materials and purpose. We'll apologize, the audio is not the greatest on this. We had some other equipment that started running and couldn't take another shot, but it is worth the watch anyway. Got a lot of information in here, copper mesh, the ULCANS material, the burlap material. It's overlapping and overlaying, and this is shot indoors to simulate a warmer environment. I can't really do a warmer environment outside right now because it's still in the 30s. So this is an indoor shot just to simulate a warmer environment, so how these materials would look at roughly 60 degrees ambient temperature. So the point of this, as I alluded to, was a warmer test environment. So I got these materials, I think in December, and pretty much all of my ability to test outdoors has been freezing because, well, I'm at the Canadian border and it's winter. So the best I could do to simulate a warm environment was shooting materials footage indoors. Now, I'll get into it more in another video, but the way these materials work in a colder versus a hotter environment is drastically different. So this same approach won't work in both temperatures. So this is just simulating a warmer environment so that you can get a feel for how these materials would do then, instead of just showing you how they look in sub-zero temperatures, because it's really difficult to fool a thermal camera when you're in a sub-zero environment. So for this first section, we're starting off with copper mesh. We'll do a single layer, and then a double layer, then a triple layer over bare skin. And then after that, we're going to do triple layered copper, half over bare skin and half over a sleeve. So you can see the difference there. So we're going to do a single layer first. So, thank you. Place it on the sleeve. Single layer of copper mesh. Let's do it. Sure.
Make a sleeve on it. Sure.
Alright. Just going to give that a second. And then what I want to see is warming up. How it does for warming up. So we're just going to give it a few seconds. It's either going to warm up or not. So la-di-da. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright. We're going to double it over. Alright, so now this is doubled up and pinched. It's a pretty impressive air gap that it gets there.
Over here. Pitch it down. So there's like an air gap inside.
Gotcha.
But there's already an air gap.
That's 2 layers. And the idea is the people that want to do this, they want to see if they make a suit out of it, how many layers are going to be necessary for it. So they're going to want a little bit of looseness in here just because movement and stuff. But we want to have it at least in contact so that we can see how it heats up if it's going to.
How many left?
Yeah, so the idea is copper mesh, it dissipates the heat pretty rapidly. So what people are hoping to see is that because there's so much surface area of metal, that it actually heat sink and bleeds off the heat faster. And that it's dense enough of a mesh that the cameras can't just see straight through it. And we're going to triple it. We don't have a whole lot of material, so we're going to get the best we can. Triple it. So.
This one?
Yes. Sorry. I really appreciate you helping. We don't want to hurt you. Alright, so you pinch that side, I'll pinch this side. And this is just going to show tripled over the sleeve, so you can see with the fabric. And then afterward, I'm going to scoot it down to the hand and just see on bare skin.
I can show the sleeve.
Or that. Actually, let's do your sleeve half up right now so we're not running through a whole bunch of time. There we go. We'll get half with the sleeve and half without. I just spent so much extra time doing this. Thank you. Tripled up and fairly tight against the skin because I can't even really get my pinky under there.
Wasn't copper expensive? So expensive, like expensive suit?
It is fairly expensive material, yeah, which is I think partly why people want to see it before they shell out the cash. I only know it in context for Faraday cages and like EMF suppression. So we would probably use this material to wrap the inverter to shut down how much RF it's putting out, because that'll interfere with like the hand radios. So that's the context I know it for. I mean, you could probably also use this filter material, but expensive filter. All right, that's probably good. That one tripled. So. And put one second. There you go. Thank you. In the second section, we're going to be looking more at the ULCANS in combination with the copper mesh. So some bare skin with the copper and ULCANS, then we'll add in a second layer of ULCANS over the copper mesh as well. Part 2. Alright. So we're going to double up the copper and put it over your arm. And then we're going to drape ULCANS material over that. So we get a comparison here. So we've got doubled up copper to here.
What do you want to put this over my shoulder? What? Oh, I guess
there we go. And then I've got my arm under this side, so you can get a comparison for just bare skin and then copper cover.
Oh, should I put my sleeve on
Okay. After this, the idea is that they've seen what the copper does on its own, and now it's to see with the ULCANS material.
Okay.
So, bare skin on one side, doubled copper mesh on the other. Stand there. You can push against the wall to keep your arm up. And second layer of ULCANS. Alright. You're right there. Alright, this smells good. Yeah, the gentleman who sent this fabric to me sent it with a beekeeper suit, and beekeeper suits have a very strange scent.
So I'm smelling the beekeeper suit?
Yeah, you smell the beekeeper suit. It's some kind of chemical thing that I guess calms the bees down. I don't know. It smells weird. But this is 2 layers of ULCANS and 2 layers of copper mesh. So,
thank you for sending this.
yes, thank you very much. No, you have to buy it. It probably doesn't taste very good. Yeah, I don't think they designed this for taste tests. Alright. That'll probably do. Strip down to 1 layer of ULCANS, just take it off. And then strip down to just the copper. And then strip down to just the sleeve. Alright, and we probably should stop there. This is a family channel. Alright, thank you. In this third section, we're going to start with 2 layers of copper with burlap, comparing a bare skin under burlap. So I'll have one with it and one without. And then we're going to have 2 layers of copper, 2 layers of burlap, which was actually pretty effective. And burlap base with the ULCANS over the top, which also worked very well. Burlap, surprisingly, used on its own, seems to work fairly effectively. It heats up diffusely. You'll see.
Correct. Next round. And we'll try and keep it on the guard.
Yeah.
So let's
I'm
see.
wondering, his shoulder is injured. That's why I'm thinking.
Yeah. So we're going to do the 2 layers of copper. Pinch the pinch there. And this is burlap material. I'm going to try and keep this out here because just like the beekeeper suit, it smells.
That's alright. I can make it through.
Alright. And then I'll clear this side for comparison. This is 1 layer of burlap, 2 layers of copper. I'm just gonna let it kind of heat some for a second here. 6, 7, 8, 10. Alright.
You need a little. Sorry.
Spelling necessary.
No, here. That week.
Well, maybe not. So we got 2 layers of copper and 2 layers of burlap. There. A little bit easier instead of just holding your arm out all day. That works. The issue with the burlap, it tends to soak up a little bit better. It takes a little bit of time to get through it. So when you do have burlap on, it's like a little bit of a delay, and after about 40 seconds, it all of a sudden it starts to show. And then it kind of equals out. And that's the most
So you want it so that you.
No, that's why we're trying to get the copper underneath.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So burlap is a really cheap and readily available material, and that's why people want to see if it can be used. Copper, just by itself, kind of looks weird. So, you know, if you're out in the field,
Yeah, because burlap looks.
well, people use burlap to make ghillie suits. So that's the difference. You can use burlap or cut strips and make like a suit out of it, and it actually blends in for regular visual camouflage. Unlike copper mesh. Or with the copper mesh ghillie suit, you're looking like some weird alien.
Probably not blending into one.
Not blending in. So that's the idea behind the burlap over the top, is it can be used to be a visual camouflage as well. And you just want to see if copper underneath will be a thermal camouflage on top of it. So that's probably enough time to see. So we are going to now remove the copper, and we're going to leave the burlap on. And a little bit of cans over top. Now this is approaching a budget version because the copper mesh in large quantities is expensive. Burlap is cheap. In fact, you can usually get burlap for free if you look around hard enough. So this is just kind of testing, can the ULCANS in combination with the burlap do a good job of dissipating that heat signature down. With the mesh, you can see parts of my skin through it, and that's what the thermal cameras can pick up, is that little parts that are showing. But at distance, the breakup works. It doesn't show as well on the thermal. Right up close, you can identify a person, but the further out you are, the better it is at hiding someone. So the idea is putting the burlap underneath. If it diffuses the signature enough that this does the rest of the job, great. With just running around with this alone, you can still kind of make out the person, even at 100 yards out. So this is a cheap version of the copper. So 2 layers of burlap, and just seeing how he builds up, the ULCANS can finish off the job or not. for a cheap version, this is still kind of expensive because the ULCANS is a more expensive. And that's why I'm working with the other mesh fabrics to try and make a fakey version.
That's probably cheap.
It is, I think so. And that little quantity of copper probably cost about $40. This little quantity of
The cat just knocked something off the counter in the kitchen. Now Jack.
yeah, the cat is knocking down a bunch of stuff.
Jack is being the police dog. You're not allowed to be up there.
But yeah, the ULCANS material, about this much material, is about $40. So you get a lot more quantity of ULCANS material than you get with the copper. And especially if you can make a single layer of this effective versus needing 2 or 3 layers of copper to get it done, it's a lot more economical to find a way to make this work. So that's why we wanted to see would it work with Burlap. Thank you.
And now we come to the budgeteers version. So this is different mesh fabrics layered, and then after showing them on a person layered, also held up like a screen. It was interesting to see the person through the thicker material. These are all common cheap materials, easy to procure. And now we're back for the ultimate budgeteers version. So these are just very cheap, readily available fabrics on eBay. This is a really thin material. Just kind of drape it on so you can see it doesn't really do a whole bunch of blocking on its own. There you go. And this is a little bit heavier grade of mesh material. You got some bearskin right there.
Fabric, bearskin.
Yeah. And then this is a 3D mesh. So I wanted to see how this would work. So, yeah. It's alright, we'll take this off. Yes! Alright, so this material, yeah, it's a 3-dimensional mesh material. It's not a normal jersey fabric.
It reminds me of something, but I can't place it.
So, yeah. I'm not real sure how to describe this, but it's like
kind of squishy. It's almost like foamy. Like
yeah,
like really thin, squishy foam.
and yet you can see through it, and
Yeah.
it doesn't really. It shouldn't heat trap the way that a full-on fabric does. I'm gonna layer that on one side. Tuck that in. Such a patient model. Alright, so that's a few different layers, 3D mesh underneath. We've got one heavier grade. This is a NATO military fabric, the tan stuff. And then this lighter, just general camouflage grade over the top. And now this. Yeah.
And we should have got clips.
What's that?
We should have got clips like those ones.
Yes, that would have been very smart.
Yes.
I'm not smart enough to pull that off. Alright, so this is yet again another cheap eBay netting material. It's like $9 for all of this stuff here. This thinner grade, woodland patterned, really thin mesh was like $4. The NATO grade material, it originally came in a large swath that you could wear like a cape. There was so much of it, and that was $12. And that 3D mesh, I got that also on eBay, and it was about 18 to 20, I think, with shipping. So this is a whole bunch of material in layers. Now it's mesh based, and there's a lot of holes in it. So that's why I'm curious, the overlapping holes, how it's going to show on thermal. it's going to be more effective than the old cans. But how do you feel? Does it feel like it's warming up? Does it feel like it's kind of stabilized?
Feels like it's warming up.
It is? Okay.
Well, I'll
Nice.
say I feel more raw. Let me put it that way.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious about that because that 3D mesh is a thicker material.
I think it's that, yeah, 3D more the foamy one.
Yeah.
I think that's what's disturbing.
Okay. I'd be curious to see what shows on the camera, if it actually is bleeding through or not. But yeah, very curious. Now we unmummify it. Just because I'm curious, I'm gonna hold that up just to see if you're on that pattern. Yeah, I kind of slipped to wear it like a poncho.
I was gonna say, you can just do it like a poncho. But you want me to just hold it like...
Yeah, just to see.
Never hold for the poncho.
That's right about now. So this is a good idea, just to get an idea for, as a blind, you know, like something suspended between branches, how it would do to conceal you. And I haven't done this, so this is a good test. And yeah. And in combination with that, because that would provide a lot of visual camouflage as a blind. So, very curious to see how you show behind that. Alright. Yeah, with this, you're not in contact with it, so there's no chance for it to heat up or anything. So what we see is what we get right now. Alright, thank you. Thank you for the help. Please take a bow.